G'day, I'm Warwick Schiller and I want to talk to you today about that when you are working on refining cues with your horse, so you give a cue and then there's something that backs that cue up. There's times where you have to get a little firmer with your backup to get them to respond better to your cue when you're starting to refine things. But there's a thing I like to talk about at clinics with people when that happens, and I say you've got to make sure that your cue remains slow and subtle, okay? What people will tend to do is if they have to back things up, they'll tend to make their cue fast and their backup fast. And the thing when you do that is you can really get these horses kind of worried about you because they don't really notice that the cues happened. And I always tell people that your horse takes about a second or so to realize you've actually applied your cue, okay? Or the approach of your cue, whatever, okay? If you're asking a horse to go off around you, with the lead rope doing groundwork, your hand's starting to move like that. That's part of the cue. That might be your whole cue, but if it takes a couple of seconds to get from here to here, you can then follow through and the horses don't get worried about it. But if you go really quickly here and follow up, they could get concerned about it. And I always talk about, I always say, if I had one of my reining horses here at this clinic, I'd show you a trick. Well, here I am on one of my reining horses, so I can show you a trick. And so what I want you to do right now is I want you to notice my hand. If we can zoom in on my hand a bit right here. Okay, you can see where my hand is. Now I'm going to ask this horse to spin, and the only thing I'm going to use is my hand. Okay, I'm not going to use anything else, leg, seat, any of that. I'm going to use my hand. And I'm going to take my hand from here and here, and I'm going to start to move it, and when it gets about that far right there, he starts to spin. And when I stop, he stops. Okay, my hand moved about that far off the side of his neck. Okay, so you could look at that and you can say, well, if his hand moves 2 inches, that horse will spin. Okay, you could come up with that assumption. But I'll show you a trick here. You want to see something? Did you see that? I moved my hand that far, that far, that far, and the horse didn't spin. Okay, but now I'll show you another trick. I'm going to take my hand from here and I'm going to move it very slowly in this direction. Move it over really slowly, and right about there, he starts to spin. How does that work? How can I move my hand from here to here and back again and he doesn't move a muscle? But I move my hand from here to here and he does move? It's the amount of time my hand was in motion. When I ask him to spin, my hand starts here, starts to move 1 Mississippi, 2, and about the 2 Mississippi mark, he goes, oh, that hand's over there, I've got to spin. But when I took my hand like this and went boink, boink, it was here, it was there and back again. It was like 1 Mississippi, that's as far as we got, okay? Does that make sense? But if I start here and I go 1 Mississippi, 2, right there, as I started to say 2, oh, Petey, good boy. As I started to say 2, he's like, oh, that hand is over there. Okay, I should go. But if it goes from here to there and back again, they won't move at all. So but the point I'm trying to make here is they take, a second or a second and a half or whatever, 2 seconds, to realize you've applied your cue. If you apply your cue in half a second, which means they don't really notice it's there, and then you back that up with something right away, they're going to think that out of nowhere you got mad at them and did something crazy to them, and like, woo, what did I do wrong? Does that make sense there? But if your cues are soft, subtle, and take a second and a half, 2 seconds, and then you back it up, they knew what you were doing. Yes, you've asked me to go, but I'm not going. I'm going to, oh, you made me go. Okay, I'll go. Sorry. I was just testing to see if you're listening. That's the kind of thing they'll do. Does that make sense? So I hope that helps just get you to realize that anytime you're going to escalate your pressure to get more responsiveness for anything, you have to make sure that you don't make your cue faster. You almost want to make your cue slower. You want to make your ask slower so that they have the time to realize you're actually asking them to do something. So I hope that helps. We'll see you guys next time.